All right, what is up, everybody? I'm trying to stream here. I've been trying some different software, things like that, and to get some streaming. I thought it'd be fun to do some streaming, and it's just a pain in the ass. I'm trying to find the right software that will let me do it on different platforms. So right now, I'm just going to do it on YouTube and on my iPhone, and so hopefully this works. I was going to talk a little bit about COVID in Mexico. I had someone who asked me about how it is down here. Evidently, in the United States, all they hear about is that it's very bad. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't watch the news like the regular news, but I guess they're saying that people are dying in the streets, whatever, which of course is bullshit. If you have any questions, type that into the chat, and I'll try to answer it. Let me know if this sounds good, if there's any problems. I'm just trying out the streaming. I thought it would be a cool thing to be able to do, to be able to pop in my office and talk to you guys directly. I haven't really been into the live streaming thing, so somebody can help me with the software. That'd be great, because I just have problems setting this up, and I want it to make it look slick. Maybe I'll be able to get some of the I don't want to pay $600 for any damn the different type of software that they have out there to stream on different platforms and make it look nice. So anyways, all right. So first, somebody was asking me about COVID in Mexico. Hopefully I don't get any problems with YouTube or something like that talking about this. But first of all, I wanted to say that, it's kind of funny, because the way I see it, as far as like from a political standpoint, the narrative goes that in the United States, Trump was playing down the virus, right, a year ago. And so because of that, it's kind of a political move that the Democrats were pushing the narrative that it's so bad, and that they really need to lock down and all this, and that it's all Trump's fault if people die. And so in the United States, it's seen as kind of a left wing, I guess you could say, a left wing thing to be, for being hysterical about COVID. That they're the ones that are for the strict lockdowns and the strict restrictions and all this type of stuff. And it's kind of funny, because in Mexico, it's actually the opposite. So again, all these things are narratives, the way that I look at it, because really, is Trump a right-wing person? I don't think so. Is AMLO a left-wing person? I mean, I don't really think so. I see how people could think that, but these are kind of center establishment people. But the narrative goes that AMLO was playing down the virus, right? Because they're both of them, Trump and AMLO, are kind of like populists, you could say. So they're both people that were elected to supposedly, stand up against globalism. That's what a lot of people think. So this was AMLO's on the left, Trump supposedly on the right, and it's flipped. So in Mexico, it's actually PAN. It's the PAN. They're the ones that are the ones really pushing for lockdowns, pushing for closing the borders, and they're supposedly the conservative party, the right wing, right? So it's the exact opposite of the United States, where instead of the Democrats, which is supposed to be the left wing, who is pushing for stricter lockdowns, over here in Mexico, it's the right wing, which is PAN, which is pushing for stricter lockdowns, which they have been. Now, what does that look like in Mexico? I'm in Guanajuato State. Guanajuato State is the only state that didn't vote for AMLO. It's the most conservative part of Mexico. And so they have been, specifically Guadalajara has the head of Guadalajara, they call it the president, or It's basically like a mayor in the United States. He's PAN, which is basically the conservatives, quote unquote conservatives. And he has been the most with pushing as far as, QR codes when you're going to do traffic stops on the highway, and, that you have to, the temperature checks and all this type of thing. So that has actually been the conservatives that are pushing that in Mexico. But, I'll tell you, to be honest, it's kind of a joke, because the people in Mexico don't really take their government seriously. But there still is this dynamic of, oh, I'm going to go against AMLO, or the supposed left wing, and so that means I really need to take it seriously. I think it's just a political game, and it's silly. But so basically, I mean, there are places around Guanajuato, like I would say that 9 months ago was like the most locked down that people were. The borders were never closed. The borders have never been closed. There's never been any quarantine. There's never been any mandatory tests, anything like that. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's like a mask mandate. I mean, I guess they passed, these laws that they have all over the world are a joke, really. I mean, they're not legal. They're not, I don't know. I think they can be stood up, and someone can stand up to them in any country. But here, yeah, I mean, there have been, so like where I am here in San Miguel de Allende, supposedly you're supposed to wear a mask on the street, right? I don't know that there's a mandate. I mean, it's all just a piece of paper written. I walk around without a mask everywhere. Nobody ever tells me anything. The police don't, tell you to wear the mask or to do anything else. So that's kind of how it is. The way that I look at it at this point, it's seen as polite. So, Mexican people are very much into being polite. And, they don't want to be confrontational, things like that. And so it's by this, in the beginning, nobody was into all of these restrictions, but there has been a lot of propaganda. They put a lot of money into radio ads and having trucks driving around with stuff blasting and signs that are saying social distancing or whatever, like I guess they have everywhere in the world. And so it's been kind of working, I guess. But I think that from what I've seen, a lot of people see it as they don't really buy into the whole thing. They don't have a lot of information, I think, which is a problem. I would like to supply more, information in Spanish for people, that alternative information, because a lot of people just get it right off of, the TV. They don't know other alternative ways of getting information. But so they think that, well, I guess this thing is going on, I need to be polite. And so normally what happens is that if you're going into a party, a get together, something like that, a lot of people will, have a mask on, be social distancing, doing all this type of stuff. And then as soon as one person, like pulls it down, the other person will pull it down. And then, so they say, okay, I'm trying to be polite, I'm trying to be respectful. But as soon as the other person does it, then they're like, to hell with it. So, I mean, last weekend I was at parties with hundreds of people. And in the beginning, everybody was following protocol or whatever it's supposed to be. And then within an hour, everything is out the window. It's like a big rave. I mean, it's just everything's out the window. So that's kind of how it is here in Mexico. Nothing is really being enforced on people other than the businesses, which it's unfortunate. Like right now, even businesses are not being enforced, a lot, but they do have like occupancy requirements for restaurants, for instance. But I don't know, if you go around now, you really can't see the difference. I'll be honest with you. You really can't see the difference. The only thing is that there'll be somebody sometimes at some of the big restaurants or grocery stores, and they're doing this sanitary, theater, whatever you want to call it. And so you just got to go through the motions. I mean, I remember I went to a water park a week ago, and in order to get into so it's all open air, right? And in order to get into the water park, they want you to wear a mask, and then they like take your temperature, right? And I swear to God, you have to wear the mask for like 3 seconds. Okay. So you wear a mask for 3 seconds, you get in the park. There was probably 250 people. You're swimming with these people, and it's like everything's out the window. You just have to wear a mask for 3 seconds. So the whole thing, it's like, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. So I just want to explain to you basically what it looks like here, because people are asking me what's going on here. I guess in the United States, there's a lot, and on mainstream media, there's a lot of people that are saying that, or in the news, that there's a lot of everybody's dying in Mexico. I'm not sure. I don't watch this crap, right? But evidently, there's a lot of people that are seeing this, thinking that it's just horrible. What I'll say is that sure, and I, I'm an insurance broker also, so like I do pay attention to this, and so there's in Mexico, there's basically two different types of healthcare, right? You have public healthcare and you have private healthcare. And the private healthcare is great. I mean, they have amazing state-of-the-art facilities in all major cities, and yeah, I mean, you get amazing service, but you have to pay for it, or you have to show that you have insurance, or that you are able to pay for it out of pocket. The other side of that is public, right? The public hospitals. And this is Seguro Popular is what they call it, IMSS, all this type of stuff. And it's kind of been consolidated, and there's being consolidated now. And it's just underfunded. There's no other way to put it. It's not a place that you want to end up. And it has nothing really to do with COVID, although, all this, it hasn't helped the situation. That's for sure. But, it's always been a place where you go to a public hospital and you're going to have to wait in the lobby. They're not going to have the resources really to take care of you as you would want to be. So it's not a place you want to be. I mean, it's not a great situation. And all of the hysteria around COVID has really made it worse, right? And what I've seen or heard from people, I should say, not really seen, but heard from people, is that very similar to what happened in New York in the early days. You remember when in New York, a lot of people were kind of overusing the ventilators, and people were dying because of the use of the ventilator. If you get on a ventilator, then there's a very low chance that you're going to survive, right? Period. Maybe 50% chance. And so a lot of people in New York were dying because of that. And this was a reason for a huge spike in deaths. And I think that, from what I'm hearing and I'm seeing, similar things are happening in Mexico, where, and it's unfortunate, I don't know what's going on or why, all the details about this, but it seems that there have been people that have been especially in the public hospitals, especially among people that are, poor, that don't have the resources and maybe the knowledge to understand what's going on, that they are put on a ventilator and they die. And the family never sees them. The family doesn't know what's going on. And, unfortunately, this is happening. And so I think that had to do a lot with the amount of people that have died supposedly from COVID. Also, we all know all the other stuff as far as the everybody taking the test. And then if they die anywhere close to taking the test, it's automatically said to be a COVID death and all this type of stuff. The numbers are just crazy. But I'll just say from my personal experience, I mean, I have not changed my life in the last year. I've been going out at least once a week with my friends, 10, 20 people at restaurants. every week, at least once a week. For it's never stopped. So restaurants have been open. We've been able to gather. Been taking no really big precautions, me personally, and I really out of the people that I meet with and all this stuff, nobody's gotten unusually sick or anything like that. Out of all my friends, family, and stuff like that, everybody's been fine. Even if people have been, sick, they've gotten over it. I've known one person that has died within the last year, and supposedly it was from COVID. So that's been my experience. And so, I mean, bars open, restaurants open, and when I looked at the figures that they're putting out, again, I'm just saying all this stuff because there was somebody that requested this information. So, anyways, so what they call the amount of people that have died over last year, right? The excess deaths has been, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but it's a very low percentage, right? So it's less than 1%. I think it's like 5% or something like that, higher than last year, even of the official numbers, right? So, I mean, it's been a year now, and that's the best that has happened here in Mexico. That's and this is supposedly very. I'm sorry, hold on for 1 second. So this is supposedly one of the worst places in the world. I guess this is what they're telling people on the news. Again, I don't watch it on the news, but this is what they're saying. But I mean, I'll just tell you right now that things here are, and again, where I am was one of the places that I wouldn't say it's one of the most closed. It hadn't been one of the most closed, but it's been state by state, kind of like the United States. But there were restrictions put on, and they do have this, green, red, yellow light thing going on. But I'll just tell you that from me talking to people and my experience here, I don't think this place is going to lock down. Okay. So again, I don't think that they're going to, not that they ever locked down in the beginning. I mean, again, the borders never closed. There was never quarantine. There was never a problem traveling within states, although some cities put up roadblocks. But really, the roadblocks are a joke. I mean, there's just somebody that stands there and they like take your temperature on your hand and they ask you where you're going. They say that you need a QR code, but you just tell them, you're going to go visit your mom or something. I don't know. It's very easy to get by these roadblocks. It's all theater. And, people were playing along with it. I think that after this year, we've seen that, obviously everywhere we've seen that it's not what they said it was. So I honestly, I don't think that Mexico is going to lock down or do, like any type of extreme restrictions again. We'll see. I see that Turkey just recently, they're going backwards. Chile can't leave. The UK, they opened up bars, but you still can't leave. Israel instituting these COVID passports. I don't see any way that in Mexico we could have COVID passports. It's just not anytime soon. Most, a lot of people don't even have a bank account. A lot of people don't have smartphones. So I don't see how it's not going to work. You know what I mean? Most people, when they buy food, like for me, for instance, when we buy food, I go to there's 5 local tiendas here. I don't have to walk into a grocery store. It's food from a local farm that they source, and you can walk in and you buy whatever and you hand them cash. 80% of the market of the general economy here is what you can consider to be black market, gray market, whatever, just cash. It's people dealing in cash, not paying taxes, right? And the government doesn't like that, but that's the fact. So, so somebody says, so Ben says, if the media is telling you to avoid Mexico, it's time to go to Mexico, right? So, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I guess that people are being told that it's bad here. I don't know what exactly they're saying. I don't watch that media, but there's nowhere. I mean, I'm so happy that I'm here right now. Maybe I would consider going to Florida, like hang out there. But other than that, I mean, I'm straight. You know what I mean? There's nobody that's talking about forcing you to take to use a passport or making people take vaccines. That's not even mentioned. I mean, the president of Mexico has said that he's not taking the vaccine. So I don't see how they would. That should give you something to think about. So yeah, but the problem, one of the biggest problems I see with this whole fiasco is that we're so beholden to our politicians, and I hate it, and I think it's pathetic that yeah, it could happen that AMLO could be voted out and they could put someone from the other party, and all of a sudden we turn into a similar thing that's happened in Chile or something like that or whatever. It's just the roll of the dice that people are giving all of their agency to politicians and allowing to do this, and so yeah, I mean, look at again, I mentioned Florida. DeSantis barely won, so what he could lose next time. He could lose. So what happens if he loses, and then Florida could be just like New York, for instance. So this is a big problem. It's just kind of a roll of the dice where you end up. I feel lucky that I've ended up here. I would say that it's definitely not a horrible place to be. And so, but that's not saying that who knows what the future holds, right? And so I really wish that people in general worldwide would just not just take some of their lives into their own hands and stop just accepting people locking them down into their houses and all this type of stuff just because a politician tells them to. And there was just a general recognition of more independence and just anti-authoritarianism across the world. But this is the world we live in. So I don't know. If anybody has any questions, I'm on YouTube. I got some people watching on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, and I just thought I'd try out this live thing, talk a little bit about what's going on with COVID. If anybody has any questions, you can send those over. So just to recap some of the stuff real quick, I was just saying that it's interesting that in Mexico the political dynamic has flipped, in that in the United States, Trump, which is supposed to be the right wing, is is downplaying the virus. I mean, here in Mexico, AMLO, which is supposedly left wing, has been downplaying the virus, and so therefore the opposite is the case as far as in the United States, it's the Democrats that want things to be more locked down. Here in Mexico, it's the conservatives or PAN that want things more to be locked down. So that's kind of funny, and it just shows how much of a theater and just basically bullshit all of this is. But anyways, but I do think that we're in a new paradigm of politics, in that it makes it very evident in that it's populism versus internationalism, globalism, whatever you want to call it. And AMLO and Trump both represent populism, just like Bolsonaro and these other places. Whether you like them or not, I understand. If you hate Trump, you hate Bolsonaro, whatever, you hate AMLO, that's fine. But you just got to recognize that the biggest phenomenon that's going on now, if you look at the worldwide financial press, they're hardcore against these people. It's not because they're right or left or socialist or capitalist or whatever. It's because they're populist, and you could, again, these are terms that get thrown around. I'm just trying to use these general terms, but basically they're fighting against, AMLO calls it neoliberalism. Okay. Trump called it globalism. I think that rather than arguing over these terms, we could just recognize what's going on, possibly unite with people across the spectrum, and recognize that we're just basically having a global takeover, authoritarianism, and it's not good for any of us. So anyways, I'm not sitting here and I'm saying that I love AMLO, but I was terrified when he first came in. I thought he was going to be, Chavez or something like this, but it's actually been very, he's done stupid things economically, but I'm sure glad that I'm here right now and everything hasn't been shut down. And, he's taken stances against the big tech companies censoring people and stuff like that. So I think that there's a lot of stuff nowadays that we can do reaching across the spectrum and stuff like that. And I just wanted to kind of express my idea that as far as COVID goes, it kind of shows that we're in a new paradigm where it's not right or left, capitalist, socialist, or whatever. We have this giant, whether you call it neoliberalism, globalism, whatever you want to call it, they're trying to homogenize culture all over the world, and basically multinational corporations, along with central banks, are it's a giant power grab. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, somebody asked, what is a safe place for Americans to go? This is always one thing that people are worried about with Mexico. They see the narcos or whatever, and of course, there's a lot of truth as far as crime in Mexico. I'm not going to sit here and say that there isn't, for sure. So it matters how worried you are about of safety. You know what I mean? There's just like the United States. If you're really worried about safety, there are places that you can go, and that are going to be very, very safe. And there's other places that you can go that, that are probably less safe, right? So, and the same thing in the United States. So, I'm sorry, in Mexico. So, I would say if you're really worried about safety, then go to places that are heavy expat. Look at the places that have heavy expat influence, because that's normally where foreigners go, is where they feel safer. Where I live here in San Miguel de Allende is one of those places. Merida is another one. Puerto Vallarta. Let's see. Playa del Carmen. People might say Playa del Carmen is not so safe, but I would say it is. Things like that. And a lot of people say, well, I don't want to go to Mexico and be around more expats. Even in the expat areas, you're looking at probably 10% foreigners, right? So it's not like you're going somewhere that's going to be all Americans or something like that. I think it's kind of exaggerated a lot. Like here in San Miguel is known as an expat town, and there are a lot here, but you're looking at less than 10%. You can go into certain bars or certain restaurants where it's going to be a high percentage of foreigners. So if you don't like that, go to a more local place. You know what I mean? It's easy to avoid, but most of the places that are dangerous, you could say, like you're not going to want to go there. Like if you look up online places to go or whatever, they're not going to be recommended places. There's an hour north from here, Celaya, Irapuato. Those are dangerous. They got stuff going on up there. It's basically all gangs fighting each other. But it's funny because we're an hour south and nothing really going on here. And when there is something that somebody gets shot or whatever, I would say it's 95% of the time it's drug dealers shooting each other over territory in poor neighborhoods. And it's unfortunate, but that's just I don't want to downplay it, but really if you're going to a more upper end area, they don't want to cause trouble for a lot of the foreigners and stuff, because they bring a lot of money. So that it's not there's not like a big risk of you getting kidnapped. Another thing I'd like to add about that is a lot of people ask about kidnapping. Most of the people that get kidnapped are like Mexican politicians and maybe like diplomats, things like this, like very, very rich people. Even if you think you have a lot of money, if you're an expat coming down here to live a less expensive life, I can pretty much tell you, you don't have a lot of money. You're not considered rich. I mean, you got rich people in Mexico with mansions, driving around with nice cars, and families that have a lot of power and stuff. You know what I mean? Basically, like oligarchs. Those are the people that get kidnapped. It's not going to be you for $10,000 or something. That's not they're looking for people that they can really get a lot of money out of. So I don't really see it as a huge problem. And if you stay, especially within the expat areas, and once you come down and experience it, and then you want to venture out a little bit, then you can do that. But I would say don't be scared and just start out going to places where there are other expats, meet them, and then venture out. I guarantee you're not going to be very worried about that. Somebody asked, was there a food shortage similar to what the U.S. experienced across supermarkets? Does this worry you? Hold on for 1 second. I'm getting a little parched. No, my answer is no, not at all. I mean, they do have big grocery stores where I am right now. They have 3 or 4 big grocery stores here, like big box. But the thing about Mexico is that in addition to those big box grocery stores, you also have a lot of tiendas. There's the local tiendas. So where I'm at right now, I can walk within 5 minutes, and I can go to probably 5 or 6 tiendas and carnicerias, or butchers, right? So I can go and buy locally sourced vegetables, potatoes, whatever, and also meat, right? And these are all sourced from farms and things like that around here. So yeah, we can go to the grocery store, and there's just like anywhere else, they have big box, very nice grocery stores, and you can go in there and you can do that. We usually go to the local places because it's less money, frankly. I mean, it's much less expensive. And I really don't have any to answer your question about if there was a food shortage. I don't know what type of food shortages there was in other places, but no, we never had anything like that. I never, no, I never had any of that. And so, I mean, it does worry me if I think about what type of horrible things can happen in the future. You can always think about scenarios where things can happen, but I think that where I'm at presently and most Mexico, it would probably be better off, especially than United States. I mean, I grew up in the United States, and I know how it is where, normally you have 1, 2, maybe 3 big grocery stores. And if they don't have a certain thing, then you're screwed. You know what I mean? But here you have a lot of smaller, it's like what I would say more decentralized. So if they can't get it from one place, then they'll get it from another farm or whatever. There's organic places here as well, and they're more expensive, and it's all locally sourced stuff. It's not it's not the same type of thing. I mean, I used to buy organic food in the U.S., stores like Whole Foods and stuff like that, where it goes through this process and it's stamped and all this, and that's fine. But that's not what happens here. It's directly from the farm or wherever they're growing, the agriculture. And like I was saying before, it's so much of the economy is what they would call like gray or black market. So it's not going through all these regulations. They just get it directly. It comes off a truck. Boom, they sell it to you for cents. I mean, just pesos. It's amazing how inexpensive stuff is. So yeah, that's one of the things that I really enjoy about Mexico and where I am. So I don't know if anybody's got any other questions or anything. I think I went over all this stuff, but yeah, I mean, I just thought I'd try out one of these lives, and I hope you guys like it. I want to do something a little more slick, but I got to figure out the software to do it. It's been a pain in the ass trying to figure out how to make it work. Some people might have noticed, like I was popping in, popping off, and all this type of stuff on different channels I have, because I'm trying to make it all work together. I got the office set up. I have basically, you know, a studio here. So I think it would be cool to do some live stuff and answer you guys' questions and things like that. I'm trying to find some kind of a format that's different. Everybody's doing podcasts nowadays, you know, and do something that's new and maybe, you know, can make some sort of a difference. And so, anyways, if you guys have any ideas, then shoot them over. And I hope that you enjoyed this broadcast. And I will talk to you guys later.